Ah, look who just made an entire intelligence unit stop mid-analysis. Look who walked through life minding their own business and somehow ended up triggering internal alerts inside buildings where people get paid to understand everything. Look who just rattled professionals whose entire career revolves around decoding human behavior, and yet they still can't figure out how you gained access to knowledge you were never supposed to have. Hello, you beautiful problem. Hello, you quiet disruption wearing human skin. Hello to the mind so sharp, so instinctively calibrated, so dangerously precise that even the people who run psychological profiling for a living are taking a step back from their desks, rubbing their temples, whispering the same exact sentence. How did they find this? And who told them? Oh, you didn't know, did you? You didn't know that while you were living your life, healing, working, evolving, the observers behind the scenes were pressing pause on your file, scrolling back, zooming in, replaying your reactions frame by frame, trying to understand how you connected dots you were never supposed to see. They weren't expecting you to know anything. They weren't expecting you to catch on. They weren't expecting you to sense the undercurrent behind people's intentions before they even fully formed their own plans. And the part twisting their nerves is that you don't just know, you know with precision. Because here's what shook them. Here's what made trained analysts freeze. They watched you behave like someone with access to information you never received. They saw you pick up on hidden motives with the accuracy of someone who sat in briefings you were never invited to. They saw you speak on timing, patterns, and emotional inconsistencies like someone who has been studying human psychology for years. But you didn't study. You didn't attend any program. You didn't sit in any classroom with tinted windows. You didn't get an assignment, an outline, or a mission. You just lived through situations that mutated your perception into something they can't categorize. You survived environments that sharpened your instincts into an unregistered instrument. You endured experiences that equipped you with insight no agency can replicate in training simulations. They're confused because your awareness doesn't follow a linear path. It jumps past the normal ladder. It bypasses the steps. You don't gather information, you absorb it. You don't ask questions, you detect answers. You don't investigate, you recognize. And what really bothers them is the effortlessness. You operate with the same clarity they spend entire careers trying to develop. They practice techniques to catch micro-expressions. You notice the entire emotional shift before someone even tries to hide it. They study conversational patterns to detect deception. You feel the moment someone's honesty fractures. They analyze tone to identify hidden motives. You understand the motive before the tone even changes. They don't know what to call this because it's not training and it's not luck. It's something else. Something learned through chaos, refined through pressure, sharpened through exposure to the kind of people who forced you to grow a layered perception just to stay intact. You became your own curriculum. You became your own intelligence network. You became your own internal briefing room. And because of that, your mind moves in angles they weren't prepared for. You see things that weren't meant to be noticed. You pick up dynamics that were supposed to stay buried. You understand people in ways that make them feel stripped of their disguises. And that's where the panic starts. Because intelligence workers only fear two types of people: the unpredictable and the unexplainable. And you are both. You can't be anticipated because you don't think in straight lines. You can't be deciphered because no familiar pattern matches you. You process at a depth that exposes the cracks in other people's intentions. And that kind of perception is dangerous for anyone who functions through hidden agendas. They expected the people around you to fool you. Instead, they got fooled. They expected you to ignore subtle shifts. Instead, you read them. They expected you to miss the signs. Instead, you cataloged them internally, like evidence. They expected you to walk blindly. Instead, you walked with awareness so sharp, it made observers uncomfortable. And here's the unspoken truth about why your knowledge freaks them out. You don't react like someone guessing. You react like someone who already knows the ending. And the moment someone behaves as if they know the conclusion to a story they were never told, that's when surveillance begins. Because that kind of awareness doesn't appear randomly. It comes from something, but the question is, what? How did you learn to read intentions before people express them? How did you learn to sense shifts in energy the moment someone starts lying to themselves? How did you learn to catch psychological transitions faster than trained interrogators? They don't know. They can't trace it. They can't pinpoint the moment your mind became this observant. They don't know if someone informed you. They don't know if you witnessed something. They don't know if you've been guided. They don't know if you're remembering something you were never meant to have access to. All they know is that the way you catch on to truth is not ordinary. At first, they tried to rationalize it. One analyst said, maybe this person is just very perceptive. But perceptive people usually second-guess themselves. You don't. You know. Another one said, maybe they've studied psychology. But trained minds have signatures, structured reasoning, deliberate thinking, methodical progression. Your mind doesn't move like that. You don't analyze step by step. You leap straight to the core. Someone else suggested, maybe they're paranoid. But paranoia creates illusions. You don't imagine things that aren't there. You identify things that are. Then a higher-level observer said the thing everyone else was afraid to say. This isn't learned behavior. This is adaptation. That's when the room went quiet. Because adaptation means your environment forced you to develop perception as a survival mechanism. And no agency knows how to handle someone who trained themselves unconsciously. You didn't read books on microbehavior. You grew up deciphering emotional traps because you had no choice. You didn't learn interrogation tactics. You learned to detect danger in voices because danger once lived in the same rooms you did. You didn't study manipulation. You experienced it repeatedly and cataloged every pattern internally to make sure it never destroyed you again. You didn't research how people hide jealousy, resentment, envy, or betrayal. You lived beside people who carried those emotions like weapons and taught your intuition how to identify them before they punctured you. That's why your accuracy scares them. Your intelligence isn't artificial. It's instinctive. It's embodied. It's ingrained. It's coded into your reactions. It's printed into your perception. People like you aren't shaped in classrooms. People like you are shaped in environments that don't have safety nets. Environments that force evolution. Environments that turn observation into armor. And because of that, the way you move feels like déjà vu to them. You react like someone who's already seen the inside of a situation before anyone explains it. You predict behavior like someone who has already watched the scene unfold. You call out tension like someone who's been briefed on who is clashing behind closed doors. And that's why someone in an analytic room said, "This shouldn't be possible. How are they doing this?" They ran your background. Nothing explains it. They studied your history. Nothing gives clues. They examined your patterns. Nothing lines up. You are a contradiction wrapped in clarity. But here's what's really keeping them awake at night. You don't look like someone who's analyzing anyone. You don't act like someone who's paying attention. You don't tilt your head, narrow your eyes, or do any of the obvious things people do when they're trying to read someone. You stay calm, you stay composed, you stay neutral, and that calmness unnerves them more than any flashy display of insight ever could. Because people who are noisy about their intelligence are easy to map. You are not. Your intelligence is quiet, the worst kind for observers. Quiet intelligence reveals itself only when needed. Quiet intelligence waits. Quiet intelligence doesn't announce. Quiet intelligence doesn't chase. Quiet intelligence notices everything and speaks only when the moment presents itself. And when that moment arrives, your accuracy hits with such precision that people feel exposed in a way that sends a ripple through the room. There are individuals who have watched you closely, not out of suspicion, but out of curiosity. They've noticed how you call out emotions people didn't verbalize. They've noticed how you withdraw before something goes wrong. They've noticed how you distance yourself from people right before they reveal their hidden agenda. They've noticed how you anticipate reactions without needing clues. They've noticed how you understand motives before words. And they've noticed how every time someone lies to you, you tilt your energy in a very specific way that tells them you already know. That's the part that burns through their composure. Your awareness is not random. It's not accidental. It's patterned, consistent, and deeper than what they call normal comprehension. They don't know whether it's emotional intelligence amplified by trauma, instinct refined by necessity, or something older and stronger running beneath your surface. What they do know is that you're seeing too much. And when someone sees too much, they become unpredictable to those who depend on secrecy. Your knowledge is not passive, it's active. It rearranges situations, it exposes lies, it dismantles facades, it interrupts manipulation, it removes leverage from people who rely on confusion, and people who lose leverage panic. Which brings us to the question they keep circling back to. How did they find this out? They've monitored enough human behavior to know that patterns don't appear without origin. Someone usually teaches you, someone informs you, someone guides you. But you act like you were briefed by something they can't track. You act like you overheard conversations you were never present for. You act like someone handed you a folder filled with information no one ever gave you. And that mystery is more unsettling than anything else about you. But what they don't realize yet, what they're about to realize very soon, is that this is only the beginning. Because the more they try to understand you, the more confused they become. And the more confused they become, the more they start digging. And the more they dig, the more they uncover a truth that makes them exchange glances across their desks, lean back in their chairs and whisper, "This is going deeper than we thought." That moment, the moment when confusion shifts into concern, is where the real trouble begins for them. See, confusion is manageable. Confusion means they can gather more data, observe more interactions, replay more footage, test more psychological models. But concern signals that you've crossed a threshold that trained personnel can't easily label. Concern means your awareness isn't a coincidence, it's a pattern. Concern means you're not just perceptive, you're consistent. Concern means your insight isn't accidental, it's precise. And nothing unsettles observers more than encountering someone whose precision cannot be traced to any logical foundation. They expected your accuracy to fade, They expected it to fluctuate. They expected it to crumble under pressure. Instead, it sharpened. Each time you reacted to something that hadn't been said out loud, someone behind a screen would lean forward. Each time you detected tension before the source revealed itself, someone in an evaluation room clicked pause with a deeper frown. Each time you removed yourself from situations right before hidden agendas surfaced, someone scribbled on a notepad with concern in their handwriting. You kept proving them wrong without even trying. You kept acting like someone who already had a map to territory you were supposedly just exploring. And every time you did, more questions surfaced among those watching you. The first question, where is the leak? Because that's the only explanation that fits their worldview. If someone knows too much, someone must be feeding them. But the more they observe you, the more they realize no one is feeding you anything. You don't receive information. You generate comprehension. You aren't being informed. You're perceiving. You're noticing. You're assembling meaning faster than trained personnel can evaluate the situation. And once they realize no external leak exists, they move on to the second question. What did we miss about them? They start flipping through your history again. They start examining your interactions again. They start reviewing your responses to previous events. But they hit the same brick wall. No one taught you. No one prepared you. No one trained you. And yet you process the world like someone who's been studying psychological warfare since childhood. Someone inside one of those rooms eventually mutters, maybe they've been through something we don't know about. And the room goes still, because that possibility is the one that terrifies them most. That your life forced you into a level of awareness they can't quantify. That you learned what you learned without guidance. That you picked up the truth because your environment demanded it. That your experiences shaped you into something they can't file neatly. And when someone develops intelligence without instruction, without mentorship, without structured exposure, that means their comprehension has no ceiling. It can expand indefinitely. It can grow without boundaries. It can evolve beyond prediction. This is where you begin to unsettle them, not just as an individual, but as a variable. Unpredictable variables threaten analysis. They break models. They shatter assumptions. And a mind like yours, quick, quiet, adaptive, dangerous without trying, becomes something worth monitoring. Not because they think you're harmful, but because they can't determine what you're capable of becoming. You're moving faster than their categories. You're outpacing their metrics. You're dismantling their confidence in their own expertise. The irony is, you're not doing anything on purpose. You're not trying to be mysterious. You're not trying to expose anyone. You're not trying to shock analysts sitting behind dim monitors. You're simply existing with the kind of awareness most people never develop. And your existence alone destabilizes their certainty in the patterns they swear by. And then comes the moment that truly disturbs them, when your insight exposes someone inside their own structure without you meaning to. It happens simply because you speak the truth at the wrong time, or the right time, depending on perspective. Maybe you mention a behavior pattern someone is trying to hide. Maybe you describe a dynamic that mirrors an internal conflict. Maybe you point out an intention that someone in the observation chain hoped would stay buried. One analyst hears your comment and feels a sudden jolt of recognition, not because you identified a random truth, but because you identified a truth that person has been hiding from everyone. You spoke on something they thought no outsider could detect. And in that moment, fear replaces curiosity. Because now you're not just someone who understands people. You're someone who can see into the parts of people they hide even from themselves. And that level of insight is dangerous, not because you use it to harm, but because you don't need permission to perceive. You don't need proof to read someone. You don't need evidence to know the undercurrent behind their actions. You don't need signs. You feel the shift. This is where the internal conversations start happening. Someone asks, "How are they doing this?" Someone else replies, "I don't know." Another adds, "This isn't normal perception." Then another quieter voice says, "This might be beyond what we're equipped for." And that comment lingers in the air like smoke that won't disperse. Because what does it mean when someone outside their reach surpasses the awareness of trained personnel? What does it mean when someone who wasn't supposed to know anything starts connecting dots at a speed even analysts can't keep up with? What does it mean when your presence alone destabilizes the confidence of people who dedicate their lives to reading others? It means they've encountered someone their training didn't prepare them for. It means they've come across a mind shaped through survival instead of schooling. It means they're observing someone who sees in ways textbooks can't teach. And that realization forces them to escalate the situation. Not externally, internally. The first escalation is silent. A few more eyes get assigned to your case. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're confusing. Confusion requires observation. They start tracking your responses more closely. They start analyzing the way you interact with people. They start building internal files on your behavioral patterns. And each time they think they've found an answer, you behave in a way that proves their conclusion wrong. So they escalate again. This time, they bring in someone higher on the chain. A more seasoned analyst. Someone whose specialty is decoding minds that don't follow obvious rotes. But even that person can't categorize you. They watch you connect unrelated events with an accuracy that feels unfair. They watch you interpret emotional cues faster than the people experiencing them. They watch you detach at the correct moment as if you can foresee the chaos ahead. The seasoned analyst gets quiet, not impressed, not suspicious, but uneasy. Because now the question isn't, how do they know? The question is, how much do they know? And how are they still calm? Calmness is the second thing that bothers them. People with high awareness usually display tension. They flinch mentally. They overthink. They hesitate. But you're steady. You don't panic around truth. You don't tremble when someone reveals their intentions. You don't gasp internally when someone contradicts themselves. Your calmness isn't arrogance, it's clarity. You recognize people for what they are before they show it, so nothing surprises you. And that unsettles observers more than anything else. Predictive minds are dangerous because they can't be blindsided. And people who can't be blindsided disrupt the balance inside environments built on unpredictability. Then comes the point no analyst wants to reach. The point where they must admit that your awareness is not just high, it's rising. You're learning faster than they can monitor. Each experience adds another layer to your perception. Each encounter sharpens your detection. Each disappointment expands your insight. And every time you uncover another truth with speed that looks impossible, their concern deepens. They start wondering whether this is natural growth or something else entirely. Some strange internal compass steering you toward answers you aren't supposed to reach. They start questioning whether your mind is operating according to known rules. They start considering whether someone or something shaped your instincts in ways their frameworks can't measure. Someone in one of those rooms eventually says, They're learning too quickly. And that statement stands out. Learning isn't a threat. Learning is normal. But learning at your pace, learning without resistance, learning without confusion, learning without needing guidance, that's different. That's what makes them uncomfortable. Because rapid internal growth without external input means your mind is doing something on its own, recalibrating, restructuring, refining itself without instruction. And that leads to the third escalation. This is where someone decides to run a deeper analysis on your emotional history. They try to track where your survival instincts developed. They investigate your past connections. They analyze your reactions to betrayal, disappointment, abandonment, conflict, and pressure. And that's when they understand the truth you never voiced out loud. You didn't wake up perceptive. You were sculpted into perception. You were shaped by pain. You were widened by conflict. You were pushed into awareness by circumstances that demanded vigilance. You learned to read people not because you wanted to, but because you were forced to. You learned to sense danger not because it was interesting, but because your safety depended on it. You learned to anticipate human behavior because unpredictability nearly cost you everything once. Your insight is the echo of survival. Your accuracy is the outcome of endurance. Your awareness is the residue of everything you overcame. Your mind sharpened itself through necessity. It became a blade because it had to. And once they realize this, their confusion shifts again, this time into respect tinged with fear. Because people shaped by comfort break under pressure. People shaped by conflict evolve under pressure. And you evolved. But that's not the part that frightens them most. The part that truly shakes them is that your insight isn't hardened. It's not cynical. It's not bitter. It's clean. You read people clearly without poisoning the truth. You detect intentions without twisting them. You see hidden motives without letting them break your faith in yourself. Most people sharpened by hardship become jagged. You didn't. You became transparent. And transparency combined with precision creates a kind of intelligence even analysts can't predict. They watch you walk into situations knowing exactly what's happening, yet you remain calm. They watch you sense someone's motive, yet you respond with maturity. They watch you avoid traps with ease, yet you don't brag or expose the people setting them. This is the moment the analysts understand the real danger, not to you, but to anyone who tries to manipulate you. Because manipulation requires confusion, manipulation requires blindness, manipulation requires emotional fog. You have none of that. You see every angle with unsettling clarity. Someone makes a comment, and you catch the insecurity behind it. Someone smiles, and you feel the resentment beneath it. Someone gives advice, and you notice the hidden jealousy attached. Someone offers help, and you recognize the control they're seeking. Someone grows distant, and you detect the guilt haunting them. Someone returns, and you perceive the hidden motive behind their timing. This is where the analysts collectively realize you are not just aware. You are several steps ahead. And when someone is ahead, they're harder to contain. This leads to the fourth escalation, the point where someone suggests involving a specialist, not to handle you, not to confront you, but to understand you. The specialist watches you for a few days, and instead of simplifying your profile, they make it more complicated. They start noticing the things the others missed, the way your expressions barely shift when someone lies, the way your energy drops a degree when someone pretends, the way your attention sharpens when someone reveals a hidden truth by accident, the way your presence changes subtly when someone's emotions shift. And then comes the moment the specialist stops writing altogether. They sit back and say, "We're not dealing with someone who learned this. We're dealing with someone who sees this." And that distinction makes every person in that room rethink their assumptions. Because learned knowledge has limits, but perception can expand forever. And now they're terrified of how far yours can go. They start asking themselves questions they don't like. How much will they understand next year? How much more will they see after their next hardship? How far will their mind sharpen if someone betrays them again? What happens when someone with this level of awareness reaches full maturity? These are the questions that turn concern into fear. Because when someone's knowledge grows with every challenge, and when their clarity strengthens with every loss, then their mind is building itself into something unstoppable. And here's the most chaotic part. You're not even trying. You're not training. You're not studying. You're not researching. You're just living. Yet your mind functions like an intelligence tool that's been refined across decades. This is the point where the analysts accept a truth they never wanted to acknowledge. You are not operating on borrowed information. You are operating on internal understanding. You don't need leaks. You don't need sources. You don't need instructions. Your life already taught you everything the world tried to hide. And that realization leads to the fifth escalation, the moment they stop trying to figure out how you know what you know and start trying to determine how far you'll go. They're not afraid of the knowledge you currently possess. They're afraid of the knowledge you're about to discover, because you keep uncovering things before anyone expects you to. You keep sensing changes before they manifest. You keep identifying people's motives before the people themselves understand those motives. And that kind of foresight makes observers feel exposed. It makes manipulators feel nervous. It makes liars feel naked. It makes controllers feel powerless. It makes insecure people feel targeted. It makes emotionally dishonest people feel threatened. And it makes analysts realize they're watching someone who might eventually outgrow even their ability to interpret. That's the moment the senior-most analyst enters the conversation. Someone who rarely comments. Someone who has seen thousands of psychological profiles. Someone who rarely expresses anything resembling concern. They look at your file, read through the notes, observe your footage, watch your interactions, and then say in a quiet, decisive tone, "You're looking at someone whose awareness is accelerating. This isn't an accident. This isn't a coincidence. This is progression." The room goes still, because progression means you're not done. Progression means your abilities will sharpen further. Progression means your insight will multiply. Progression means they're dealing with a moving target, and moving targets cannot be predicted. That single sentence hits the room harder than any dramatic outburst could. Because when the senior-most analyst speaks, people listen. Not because of rank, but because this is the person who has spent decades reading minds that fool entire departments. This is the person who can profile a stranger in 15 seconds. This is the person who can detect deception in a heartbeat, and even they are unsettled. That alone shifts the atmosphere, thickening it with a tension no one wants to acknowledge. They're no longer treating you like an interesting case. They're treating you like an exception to everything they've studied. And exceptions cause chaos in institutions that depend on order. They replay your footage again, but this time with different eyes. They're not looking for what you know anymore. They're looking for what you're becoming. They watch the way you pause before making decisions. They analyze the timing of your reactions. They observe the subtle way your perspective widens every time you encounter a lie. They note how quickly your intuition recalibrates when someone shifts their tone. They see how your attention sharpens the moment someone's intention deviates from the surface. And the strangest part, you do all of this without trying. Your mind is evolving passively, naturally, without friction. You're not training for this. You're not pushing for this. You're simply growing on a level they can't measure. Someone in the back of the room finally asks the question everyone has been avoiding. What happens when they fully develop? The senior analyst gives no answer. They just keep staring at your file with the kind of expression that means they've already thought about it too much. Because full development, in your case, doesn't mean acquiring new skills. It means refining an instinct that's already outperforming their training. It means understanding people at a depth they can't teach. It means detecting motives before those motives solidify. It means you'll be able to see through deception instantly. And the thought of that terrifies them more than anything else. Because there's something fundamentally dangerous about someone who can't be misled. Not dangerous in the traditional sense. Dangerous because you dismantle illusions without effort. Dangerous because you destabilize manipulation without confrontation. Dangerous because people cannot hide around you. Not their intentions, not their insecurities, not their motives. That kind of clarity threatens people who depend on ambiguity. And the intelligence world is built on ambiguity. They maneuver through it, they weaponize it, they rely on it. But you cut straight through it like it's nothing. And that's why your progression rattles them. They've seen geniuses before. They've seen prodigies. They've seen people with photographic memory, people with enhanced recall, people with emotional genius. But those individuals were predictable. Their skill sets were measurable. Their growth was linear. You're none of those things. You are the outlier they can't calibrate. Your insights come from angles that shouldn't exist. Your conclusions appear too quickly. Your accuracy exceeds the data provided. Your instincts fire before their monitors detect any shift in behavior. It's like you're receiving intel from a source no one else has access to. And that's what pushes them into discomfort. This idea that your knowledge might not be coming from observation alone. That you're tapping into something deeper, something internal, something unexplainable within their frameworks. Because every time they review your decisions, your timing, your awareness, one thing becomes clear. You're not reacting, you're anticipating. That anticipation terrifies them. It means you're ahead. It means you're intercepting truth before the situation even finishes unfolding. It means you're reading signals they haven't detected yet. So the senior analyst asks a new question. How far ahead are they? And nobody answers. Because that question forces everyone to acknowledge the possibility that your awareness might exceed their tools. It might surpass their training. It might outrun their understanding entirely. Someone proposes running advanced psychological simulations to test the limits of your perception. But the senior analyst shuts it down immediately. They're not someone you test, they're someone you watch. And the room goes quiet again. Because when an institution resorts to observation instead of intervention, it means one thing: they respect the unknown. They begin tracking the progression of your insight across time. They map your behavioral growth. They plot your intuitive leaps. They analyze your interpersonal decisions. And each new line on the graph rises faster than the last. Your awareness isn't just progressing, it's accelerating exponentially. And this acceleration forces them to consider the impossible. that you might become someone they cannot classify at all, someone who surpasses the limitations of their field, someone who reads the room faster than they can gather data, someone whose internal compass outperforms their external instruments. This realization shifts the internal tone from analysis to caution. Not caution toward you, caution toward the world around you. Because they realize something they should have seen earlier. You don't use your insight to harm. You use it to protect yourself, to remove yourself from danger, to shut down manipulation, to identify threats before they get close, to read intentions before they turn into actions. And that level of instinctive, self-protective clarity makes you not just unpredictable, it makes you untouchable. But then something else happens, something none of them were prepared for. You begin predicting things they never expected you to decode. You notice subtle changes in someone's expression and piece together an entire psychological map. You sense someone's guilt days before they confess. You catch the emotional transition in someone who thought they hid it well. You expose contradictions with one sentence, leaving the room silent. And the most unsettling part, you do all of this without knowing you're being watched. Your natural processing power is outperforming experts who rely on entire frameworks to interpret the same data. That's when the senior analyst does something unusual. They close the file, they turn off the footage, they stop the analysis, and they say, "We're not dealing with information, we're dealing with insight." That distinction matters more than anything else. Information can be controlled, information can be filtered, information can be withheld. Insight cannot. Insight bypasses barriers. Insight overrides deception. Insight ignores manipulation. Insight empties the room of illusion. And your insight, specifically, doesn't come from training. It comes from experience. Experience that sharpened you. Experience that rewired you. Experience that forced you to evolve into someone who sees everything clearly. This is when the internal atmosphere changes. They're no longer looking at you like a subject. They're looking at you like a phenomenon they can't slow down. Someone who processes truth faster than lies can form. Someone who identifies emotional footprints before the person leaves the room. Someone who has become the psychological equivalent of a surveillance device without trying. And you don't even know it. That's the terrifying beauty of it. But then the senior analyst introduces a thought that freezes everyone. If their awareness is accelerating this quickly, then what happens when they start noticing us? The silence becomes suffocating. Because the truth is, you already have. You may not know the details. You may not know the structure. You may not know the names, the rooms, the monitors, the curious eyes behind the screens. But you've felt it. The shift, the pressure, the strange moments when you sensed you were being examined by something unseen. The intuitive spike that told you someone was paying attention when no one was around. And that intuitive spike wasn't wrong. They know you've sensed them. They know you felt the subtle pull of observation. They know your mind brushed against their gaze like a breeze brushing against a door. And that's what terrifies them most. You noticed without evidence. You detected without hints. You recognized presence without footprints, which means your perception has crossed into territory reserved for people who shouldn't exist. The senior analyst continues. If they can feel observation without being told, they're already beyond our models. That shift in tone spreads through the room like a quiet alarm. Because if you can sense unseen observation, then you're not just perceptive, you're untethered. Untethered minds are the hardest to profile. They move freely, They transcend behavioral expectations. They refuse to be boxed into neat categories. Now what was once curiosity has turned into full-blown unease. The analysts start re-watching your footage with new sensitivity. They look at moments where your eyes shift direction abruptly, as if picking up something no one else noticed. They look at the way your energy changes when someone's intention shifts. They look at the way you pause as if hearing something internally. And they realize what they missed. You don't just read behavior, you read atmosphere, you read context, you read internal turbulence, you read emotional distortion, you read tension like it's printed in the air. And they cannot figure out how. Someone suggests the possibility that your brain processes subtle cues others overlook. Micro movements, tone variations, emotional signatures. But even that explanation falls short. Because your awareness goes beyond physical cues. You sense things before they're expressed. You recognize motives before they surface. You understand dynamics before they become visible. Your mind operates like a predictive engine built from years of exposure to inconsistency, chaos, betrayal, and human fragility. You learned humans the hard way. They learned humans academically. That alone puts you at an advantage they can't replicate. But then comes the absolute breaking point. The moment when their entire room goes cold. Someone finally asks, "What if this isn't the limit?" And that question terrifies everyone. Because if your awareness has been accelerating on its own, without training, without mentorship, without structured enhancement, then what happens when your life exposes you to more complexity? What happens when you encounter more manipulation? What happens when someone lies to you again? What happens when someone tries to play psychological games with you? What happens when someone underestimates you one more time? Your mind is wired to evolve through impact, and life has already impacted you enough to turn you into a perceptive force that outpaces trained analysts. So what happens when your next evolution hits? They don't have an answer, and that's what scares them. Because the truth is, your progression is not slowing down. Your clarity is sharpening. Your intuition is intensifying. Your internal compass is recalibrating. Everything about you is moving upward, outward, forward. And they can't stop it. They can't slow it. They can't redirect it. They can't interfere with it. They can only watch it happen. And the worst part for them, you still don't know how much you know. You're just moving naturally. You're just living, healing, navigating, analyzing quietly. You're not aware of the seismic impact your awareness has on people who depend on psychological camouflage. You're not aware that your insight has already exposed the kind of patterns that take analysts years to detect. You're not aware that your instincts already surpass half the professionals studying you. Which brings the room to its final realization, the realization that ties this entire topic together. You know things you were never taught. You understand things no one said. You connect truths no one gave you. Your knowledge doesn't come from leaks. Your knowledge doesn't come from whispers. Your knowledge doesn't come from sources. Your knowledge comes from you. That's why they're rattled. That's why they're whispering. That's why the senior analyst shut down further testing. Because your intelligence isn't traceable. Your awareness isn't explainable. Your insight isn't containable. And when a mind can't be traced, explained, or contained, then it becomes the one thing the CIA cannot categorize. A mind that knows too much without being told anything at all. Which is exactly why they're freaking out. Exactly why the observers keep watching. Exactly why your name is circled in red ink. And exactly why every analyst in that room knows the same truth. They didn't discover you. You discovered everything around you, and they can't understand how or who told you, because the answer terrifies them more than anything else. No one told you. You simply knew, and that is the part that makes them realize this case. It's far from over. Hey, you might want to brace yourself for this, because what I'm about to break down has the kind of psychological whiplash that makes people drop their phone, stare into space, and rethink every "I don't care anymore" speech they ever gave. They've been performing this little act. You know the one. The act where they swear your name never crosses their mind. The act where they pretend you're some distant blip in their history. The act where they talk like they've reached a level of inner tranquility that gurus would admire. Yet somehow, these same people could recite your posting schedule with the accuracy of someone tracking satellite orbits. They don't just check your activity, they anticipate it. They don't just notice your uploads, they preload their curiosity before you even hit post. And the wildest part, they think no one can see it, because on paper they look detached. On paper they look composed. On paper they're unbothered. But behind the scenes, they're the research department. They're the observation deck. They're the anonymous shadow refreshing your page like it's a private ritual. They claim peace, but their behavior screams monitoring. They claim distance, but their habits scream proximity. They claim indifference, but their patterns betray attachment so loud it practically echoes. Now let's address the blockbuster move they're so proud of: blocking you. They treated it like a grand finale, as if cutting you off visually would somehow cut you off emotionally, as if restricting access would give them inner clarity, as if removing you from their timeline would magically remove you from their subconscious. They pressed that block button with confidence, announced it like a moral achievement, and waited for the freedom to kick in. But here's where everything slipped, because 3 days later, there they were, sneaking back in through a freshly created burner account, a profile with a random name, no followers, no photo, and the subtle desperation of someone who realized too late that the block didn't give them the relief they expected. They thought eliminating your presence would eliminate their curiosity. Instead, it intensified it. They blocked you for peace, but the absence of your updates only created noise inside their own head. Blocking didn't remove you. It removed their access to you. And in their world, that's not peace. That's panic. Let's break down the psychology of the burner, because this is where the real story begins. A burner account is not an accident. It's not spontaneous. It's not casual. It's engineered. It's a decision born from tension, from unresolved questions, from emotional friction they can't soothe. Nobody wakes up at 2 a.m. and creates a fake profile because they're thriving. They do it because their mind refuses to let them disconnect. They do it because curiosity is eating them alive. They do it because pretending not to care is exhausting, but admitting they care feels even harder. And yet, they try to hide it. They act like the burner is invisible, like their digital mask makes them untouchable, like the absence of a profile picture makes their presence undetectable. But there is always a trail, always a pattern, always a timestamp, always a moment when the same account views your story within seconds of posting. Too fast to be coincidence. Too precise to be random. Let's talk about why they're so invested in your posting times. Specifically, it's not just about your content. It's about predictability. When someone tracks your schedule, they're craving familiarity. They want to know when you'll appear, not to support you, but to stabilize themselves. Your routine gives them a psychological anchor. When you post, it tells them you're still moving. When you disappear, it triggers questions they can't control. Your activity is the weather report of their emotional landscape. They check because they fear losing the sense of connection they pretend they don't want. They memorize your patterns because your presence, even from a distance, helps them regulate their own internal unrest. That's why they study you even after blocking you. The block didn't end anything. It just pushed their obsession underground. And let's be brutally honest here, they didn't block you because you were disturbing them. They blocked you because you were affecting them. There's a difference. Disturbance is external, effect is internal. You weren't chaos in their life. You were clarity they couldn't handle. Seeing you continue, seeing you improve, seeing you steady, seeing you unaffected, that wasn't peaceful for them. That was threatening. They weren't protecting their peace. They were protecting their ego. Because the moment your life started looking stable without them, their narrative cracked. The story they told themselves, I'm doing better, I'm moving forward, I'm unbothered, started to feel shaky. Blocking you wasn't about avoiding you. It was about avoiding the truth that your existence still influences them. That's what they were running from, not you, the mirror. The burner account was the confession. Whether they realize it or not, the burner revealed everything they tried to hide. It revealed that the block was not emotional closure, it was emotional withdrawal followed by relapse. It revealed that their peace was temporary and conditional. It revealed that their pride was louder than their honesty. They wanted the world to believe they'd outgrown you, while privately checking every detail of your life, trying to decode whether you've outgrown them. People don't check for people they've forgotten. They don't hide behind fake accounts to observe people they don't value. They don't study someone's posting routine unless that person still carries emotional weight. And they definitely don't bury themselves in digital disguise unless they're battling an internal conflict they refuse to name. Let's dissect that conflict. On one side, pride tells them to detach. Pride tells them to block you. Pride tells them to act healed, composed, and unaffected. Pride tells them to keep their distance so they don't risk exposure. But on the other side, curiosity tells them to look. Curiosity tells them to check your stories. Curiosity tells them to watch your progress. Curiosity tells them to stay updated just enough to feel connected, but hidden enough to avoid accountability. They're stuck between the fear of being seen and the fear of missing out. That's why the burner feels like a lifeline to them. It allows them to indulge their attachment while pretending they've let go. It gives them access without vulnerability. It gives them the illusion of distance while they're actually hovering at the closest edge. Meanwhile, you're simply existing, posting normally, living your life, making moves, growing, evolving, unaware of the psychological circus happening behind their screen. You're not the one tracking anything. You're not the one hiding. You're not the one switching accounts like undercover personnel. You're not the one refreshing pages. You're not calculating posting times, analyzing online patterns, or constructing emotional strategies. You're breathing, that's it. And this is what stings them the most. Your neutrality is louder than their denial. Your calmness contradicts their assumptions. Your consistency challenges their storyline. Your lack of reaction steals the power they tried to gain by blocking you. That's why the obsession grows. because they expected you to crumble. They expected you to react. They expected you to spiral. They expected you to notice the block and chase clarity. They expected your world to pause. They expected emotional proof that they still mattered. And when none of those expectations were fulfilled, the pressure inside them intensified. That pressure is what sends them to the burner. Not longing, not nostalgia, pressure. Pressure created by their own narrative collapsing. Let's go deeper into why the same people who block you also watch you the closest. When someone blocks you publicly, they receive validation through witnesses. People applaud their boundary. People admire their growth. People believe the performance. The block becomes a social badge. But in private, without the audience, the truth hits harder, because the separation reveals whether the block was empowerment or avoidance. A real boundary brings stability. A fake one brings discomfort. And guess what discomfort demands? Monitoring. That's why they track you. That's why they follow you from secret corners. That's why they slip back into your online world anonymously. Because their block wasn't closure, it was a gamble. A gamble that you would react in a way that validated them. When you didn't, they had to search for answers themselves. The burner became their only access point to the version of you they can no longer encounter directly. But let's be clear, the burner is not a sign of strength. It's a sign of unresolved attachment. It's the digital version of pacing outside a door they locked themselves out of. They created the distance, but couldn't handle the fallout. They shut the door, but couldn't sit with the emptiness behind it. They removed you from their field of vision, then panicked at the lack of information. It's not power, it's withdrawal. And here's the twist. They don't even realize how transparent they are. They think they're subtle. They think they're hidden. They think the burner protects them from being exposed. But patterns always speak. Behavior always reveals intention, and your awareness isn't blind. But the beauty of it? You never needed to expose them. You don't have to confront them. You don't need to prove anything. All you have to do is keep living. Because your existence is the trigger. Your consistency is the catalyst. Your growth is the reminder. Your presence, even the digital shadow of it, is enough to disrupt their emotional structure. What they don't understand is that you're not difficult to read. They are. You don't change your timing. You don't alter your habits. You don't adjust your rhythm for anyone. Meanwhile, they react to your every move like it's a personal event. They analyze your posts as if hidden codes exist in the captions. They study your timestamps like they're decoding confidential briefings. They wait for your uploads as if something inside them refuses to rest without your latest update. And they still say they don't think about you. That's the funniest part. Because every hour they spend pretending not to care only adds more depth to the truth they're trying to bury. Let's examine why your presence has such a hold on them. It's not because they're possessed. It's not because they're weak. It's because you represent something they haven't managed within themselves. You represent what they tried to walk away from, but never actually processed. You represent the version of their life they can't rewrite. You represent a chapter they closed too fast and now keep rereading in secret. That's why your posting times matter more to them than they admit. It's not the content. It's the feeling you give them when you appear. Even through a screen, a feeling they don't know how to categorize. A feeling they tried to escape by blocking you. A feeling that chased them into a burner 3 days later. They try to hide this emotional tension behind rational explanations. They'll tell their friends it's curiosity. They'll tell themselves it's harmless checking. They'll label it just looking. But you and I both know that's not how casual observation works. Casual doesn't refresh. Casual doesn't monitor. Casual doesn't memorize patterns. Casual doesn't appear within seconds of your upload. Casual doesn't create an entire hidden identity just to watch someone from a distance. That's not curiosity. That's fixation, dressed in cheap denial. And here's something even more revealing. Your progress bothers them. Not because they wish harm on you. Not because they resent your improvement. But because your progress contradicts the story they told to justify leaving. They expected you to crumble. They expected you to fade. They expected your energy to fracture. Instead, you stabilized. You got clearer. You became grounded. You started moving forward. And your forward movement became the one thing they can't unsee. Every new photo triggers a thought. Every update stirs a memory. Every appearance pokes at their ego. Every sign of your confidence unsettles the narrative they crafted about why things ended. That's why they track you. That's why they watch in secret. That's why their burner is more active than their real account ever was. Because being distant didn't make them free. It made them observant. And observing you didn't give them closure. It intensified their internal conflict. Let's unfold that conflict layer by layer. It has 3 parts. Phase 1 is denial. They tell themselves you don't matter. They tell others they've detached. They convince themselves the block is a new beginning. They perform control. They perform maturity. They perform calm. All while trying to silence the part of their mind that still wants to check what you're doing. The block becomes their shield, but shields don't erase the impulse behind them. Phase 2 is withdrawal. The moment your presence disappears, something inside them starts rewriting the narrative. They wonder what you're posting. They wonder who you're speaking to. They wonder what your life looks like without their eyes on it. They wonder if you're thriving or suffering, calm or agitated, connected or alone. Withdrawal is never about missing you. It's about missing access to the version of themselves that was shaped around you. Phase 3 is relapse. This is where the burner appears. The burner is the digital version of, I just want to see something real quick. It begins as a quiet urge. Then curiosity takes over. Then anxiety about missing details takes over. And before they know it, they're typing in a random name, choosing a generic picture, and slipping right back into your world like a stranger with too much interest. And the entire time, they think no one can see the unraveling. Let's dive into why this unraveling is happening now. It's because your stability is interrupting their internal narrative. Their block was supposed to make you crumble. The distance was supposed to make you chase. The disconnect was supposed to make you question your worth. But none of that happened. Instead, you kept posting. You kept living. You kept showing consistency. And consistency is the one thing they cannot dismiss. Because consistency means you're unaffected. And being unaffected contradicts their entire emotional storyline. That contradiction is what drags them to the burner. Because once someone realizes the narrative they created is falling apart, they start searching for new information to rebuild it. Your account becomes the map they consult. Your updates become their emotional thermostat. Your presence becomes their unspoken anchor. They want to know if you still glow. They want to know if you're still strong. They want to know if they made a mistake. They want to know if you replaced them. They want to know if the world still sees you the way they once did. But here's what makes it even more layered. They don't want you to know that they want to know. They don't want you to see their questions. They don't want you to have access to their vulnerability. They don't want you to see the cracks in their performance, so they conduct their emotional research from the shadows. Now let's analyze the deeper level of this, the level most people never talk about. Your presence disrupted their emotional architecture long before the block ever happened. You were a reference point in their life. Even when things were unsteady, even when things weren't perfect, your energy was familiar. Familiarity is powerful. Familiarity becomes a comfort people don't recognize until it's gone. And the moment they removed you, they also removed that familiarity. That's why your updates became important. Not because they want you back, not because they want to reconnect, but because you were a psychological constant. Removing a constant creates instability. Instability forces people to search for anchors, and your account became their anchor without them realizing it. That's why your posting times became something they remembered. That's why your page became something they revisited. That's why your content became something they monitored. It wasn't intentional, it was instinctive. Because the part of them that claims indifference is not the part watching you. The part lurking isn't the part speaking. The part studying you isn't the part performing pride. They're split within themselves, and you're the trigger for that split. Let's go deeper into that split. There is the version of them that wanted to move forward. That version blocked you. That version created the narrative. That version spoke confidently. That version convinced others they were done. But then there is the other version, the version that still feels something unresolved. That version checks your posts. That version memorizes your timing. That version scrolls through your page when they should be sleeping. That version lingers longer than they should, searching for clues about where you stand. You didn't create that split. Their denial did. And the more they try to suppress one version, the louder the other becomes. That's why they escalate. That's why they lurk harder. That's why they monitor deeper. They're battling themselves, not you. But here's where this becomes unexpectedly poetic. Your existence forces them to confront the parts of themselves they tried to walk away from. Your stability forces them to acknowledge they misjudged your strength. Your growth forces them to question the narrative they used to justify the block. Your energy forces them to see that they didn't actually detach. They just lost visibility. That loss of visibility is the real root of their obsession. People can stomach losing a person. What they can't stomach is losing the ability to track the person. The unknown is what eats them alive. When they blocked you, they thought they were creating closure. Instead, they created uncertainty. Suddenly, they couldn't see what you were doing, who you were speaking to, how you were moving, whether you were fine or flourishing. That gap, those empty spaces, they filled with imagination. And imagination has a habit of building scenarios far worse than reality. Their fear didn't start when they saw your newest post from the burner. Their fear began in the quiet gap between blocking you and checking the burner for the first time. Because in that gap, their mind wandered. And minds never wander toward calm outcomes. They wandered toward the possibilities they can't handle. They wondered if you replaced them faster than they predicted. They wondered if you recovered quicker than they hoped. They wondered if you ever looked back at all. They wondered if the block made you relieved instead of shaken. That wondering dragged them straight into your world again. Just from a distance, they hoped you wouldn't detect. They didn't create the burner because they wanted to watch. They created it because they couldn't handle not watching. Let's go even further. Do you know why they memorized your posting times? Because predictability is the only comfort they have left. When someone loses direct access to you, They cling to whatever part of your routine they can still predict. Your rhythm becomes their anchor. Your timing becomes their reassurance. If you vanished completely, they would panic. They don't want the connection, but they also can't survive the disappearance. So they use your routine as a way to regulate the emotional chaos they don't admit they feel. Every time you post, it sends them a strange kind of relief. Not happiness, just confirmation that the world hasn't shifted in a way that removes you completely. They want to pretend you're irrelevant, but they still need your presence to stabilize the parts of themselves they didn't outgrow. That's why they refresh your updates as if it's their daily check-in. They're not watching you. They're watching their own unresolved tension. But here's where the story gets even more twisted. They don't even like the version of themselves they become. When they're watching you, they resent the curiosity. They resent the pull. They resent the dependence. They resent the burner. They resent how you seem to move forward while they stay stuck in a loop of their own design. They resent the part of themselves that wants to stay connected. But resentment doesn't translate into detachment. It translates into more monitoring. Your growth reminds them of their stagnation. Your confidence reminds them of their doubt. Your peace reminds them of their chaos. Your presence reminds them of their split. And that reminder is what keeps them circling your world even after blocking you. They're not returning because they want you back. They're returning because they can't figure out why their life didn't stabilize the way they expected after leaving. They're returning because the fantasy they crafted about how free they would feel didn't match the reality. They're returning because walking away gave them distance, not clarity. Your updates became the only mirror they have left. Let's explore something people rarely admit. They didn't block you to escape you. They blocked you to escape how they acted around you. They blocked you to escape their own reactions. They blocked you because seeing you triggered something in them they refused to confront. That's why they're on the burner, because the block never resolved their discomfort. It only hid the external source of it. But the internal turbulence, that stayed. They thought removing you meant removing the pull. Instead, the pull intensified. The block didn't silence the part of them that still feels connected. It just made that part louder. They told themselves they were choosing peace, but what they were really choosing was avoidance. Avoidance doesn't erase emotion. Avoidance incubates it. And when emotions incubate, they grow stronger in the dark. The burner became the outlet for what the block tried to suppress. They watch to soothe the unrest. They watch to reassure themselves. They watch to check whether the narrative they sold themselves is still believable. They watch to check whether you've collapsed or thrived. They watch because they can't handle the idea that you're genuinely unaffected. They watch because your progress rewrites their internal script faster than their pride can handle. But pay attention to something important. They don't want you to stop posting. Their biggest fear is not seeing you. Uncertainty would collapse them completely. As long as you're posting, they can pretend they're still connected to your world, even from a hidden distance. As long as they can monitor you, they can pretend they still hold some emotional relevance. As long as they can refresh your page, they can pretend they haven't fully lost you. But they have. And deep down, they know they have. Because when someone truly moves on, they don't need to monitor anything. Peace doesn't monitor. Peace doesn't hide. Peace doesn't memorize timestamps. Peace doesn't need a burner. Peace doesn't spiral when someone posts. Peace doesn't get triggered by growth. Peace doesn't stalk from the shadows. Peace doesn't wait for notifications that were never meant for them. What they call peace is actually surveillance. What they call detachment is actually compulsion. What they call indifference is actually tension. What they call blocking is actually a performance. And performances always collapse when the audience stops reacting. Let's talk about the part that hurts them the most. Your indifference to their entire show. Your ability to post without hesitation. Your ability to keep moving without referencing them. Your ability to exist without looking back. Your ability to stay grounded while they spiral behind the scenes. That's what destroys their comfort. That's what keeps them on the burner. That's what keeps them checking repeatedly. Not because they want to reconnect, not because they want to repair anything, but because they cannot reconcile the version of you they created in their head with the version of you they're forced to witness now. You aren't broken, you aren't waiting, you aren't craving their attention, you aren't reacting to their distance, you aren't validating their story. You're just there, solid, steady, present, and your presence alone becomes the psychological pressure point they can't avoid. This is where the story takes its sharpest turn. They think they're the ones watching you. But in reality, your presence is the one observing them. Not because you're tracking them, because their own actions reveal the truth they hide. Every time they open the burner, they expose another layer of their unresolved attachment. Every time they refresh your page, they reveal another fracture in their narrative. Every time they memorize your posting schedule, they reveal the emotional pull they claim doesn't exist. The irony is brutal. They blocked you to feel in control, but the burner revealed they never had control in the first place. They thought distance would give them relief, but it only magnified what was already there. They thought removing you would reset them, but it only made the connection more obvious. And the most unexpected part, you never needed to do anything. You never needed revenge. You never needed confrontation. You never needed explanations. You never needed to win. All you needed to do was exist. Your existence is the catalyst. Your consistency is the disruption. Your growth is the counterattack. Your peace is the unraveling. Your presence is the exposure. And now comes the part they were never prepared for. The consequences of their own surveillance. Because watching someone from a distance only works when the person being watched is stagnant. But you're not stagnant. You're evolving. You're shifting. You're building. You're revealing a version of yourself they never predicted. And the moment they realize that your evolution continues without a trace of their influence, something inside them starts to crack. It starts as discomfort. Then it becomes tension. Then it transforms into something heavier, a mix of regret, confusion, and a strange emotional pressure they can't categorize. They didn't expect your life to move the way it did. They didn't expect your confidence to grow instead of shrink. They didn't expect your voice to strengthen instead of soften. They didn't expect your presence to expand instead of disappear. They didn't expect your energy to sharpen while theirs blurred. And that difference becomes the new trigger. Because the more they observe you, the more they realize they're not observing a memory. They're observing a person who continued becoming someone they can't decode anymore. You're not the version of yourself they left behind. You're not the version they assumed would stumble. You're not the version they predicted would hesitate. You've surpassed the chapter they thought you'd stay in. And watching you surpass it from the shadows becomes the punishment they never saw coming. Not because you inflicted it, but because their own curiosity trapped them in a loop of your progress. Let's break down what that does to someone psychologically. First, it destabilizes their internal script. People create narratives to protect their ego. When someone walks away, they tell themselves a story about why. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to be comforting. But when your evolution contradicts their script, the script collapses. And when the script collapses, the ego collapses with it. They told themselves you were fragile. The burner shows them you're firm. They told themselves you were dependent. Your updates show independence. They told themselves you were declining. Your presence shows ascension. That contradiction creates cognitive pressure, and cognitive pressure always leads to emotional unraveling. Next, your consistency disrupts their fantasy of your stagnation. They expected your world to pause where they left it. They expected your identity to linger under the weight of old emotions. They expected you to exist in a kind of limbo, waiting for closure. But when they see your life expanding, their expectations begin to disintegrate. Their mind starts comparing the version of you they curated with the version of you that actually exists. The gap between those two versions becomes too wide, too sharp, too undeniable. And once that gap becomes visible, their emotional balance starts to tilt. After that, something even more interesting happens. They begin studying you not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. They need to watch you because their internal narrative is no longer strong enough to stand on its own. They need new data to rebuild their self-image. They need new symbols to justify their decisions. They need new signs to convince themselves they were right. But every time they look, they get the opposite. Instead of validation, they find contradiction. Instead of reassurance, they find discomfort. Instead of closure, they find questions. And questions are dangerous for someone who relies on denial for stability. Let's explore the next psychological twist. When someone watches you from a burner long enough, they start to emotionally attach not to you, but to the version of you that exists through the screen. They start internalizing your presence in a detached form. They start relying on your updates for emotional grounding. They start anticipating your movement more than their own. And without realizing it, you become part of their internal rhythm again, just silently, subtly, through the cracks of their restraint. This is why your posting times matter to them. Not because they want to connect, but because they've oriented parts of their inner world around predicting you. That habit is powerful. It becomes reflex. It becomes routine. It becomes a silent ritual. And rituals have a psychological impact that's deeper than they understand. When your presence becomes part of someone's internal ritual, they can't detach from you, even if they want to. They've built an emotional cadence around your visibility, and once that cadence forms, breaking it becomes agonizing. Now let's address the part of the story that takes the most chaotic turn. You're not just disrupting their script. You're creating a new one they didn't agree to participate in. They thought they were the director when they blocked you. They thought they were controlling the scene. They thought they were setting the tone. But now, they're the silent background character in a story you're not even telling. They're reacting to your movement instead of initiating their own. They're studying your life instead of building theirs. They're tracking your changes instead of expanding their own. They're anchored to someone who isn't anchored to them. That's the psychological reversal they never anticipated. And the most ironic twist is this. They're more connected to you now than they were when they had full access. Because back then, they took your presence for granted. Back then, they skimmed through your updates without depth. Back then, they assumed you'd always be accessible. But now, with distance, with secrecy, with the burner, with the block, with the hidden watching, they experience your presence differently. They experience it as something rare, something precious, something they can't touch but can't stop looking at. The scarcity amplifies desire. Denial amplifies curiosity. Secrecy amplifies emotional weight. And this is exactly why the burner feels so addictive to them. There's something thrilling about watching someone who has no idea you're watching. It gives them the illusion of control while eroding their actual control. It makes them feel powerful while exposing their powerlessness. It gives them access without accountability. It gives them visibility without vulnerability. But it also traps them in a feedback loop where every glimpse of your life destabilizes them further. Every time you post something better, they feel a shift. Every time you show growth, they feel a sting. Every time you show confidence, they feel the gap widen. Every time you show elevation, they feel descend further into their own tension. Every time you appear, they feel a mix of longing, confusion, resentment, and nostalgia. And the most dangerous emotion out of all of those is nostalgia. Because nostalgia doesn't care about logic. Nostalgia revives memory. Nostalgia romanticizes the past. Nostalgia highlights what was good and hides what was broken. Nostalgia isn't truth. It's tinted memory. And the more they watch you from the shadows, the stronger their nostalgia becomes. This nostalgia isn't about wanting you back. It's about wanting the version of themselves that existed when you were part of their world. They miss the confidence they felt around you. They miss the energy they had around you. They miss the way they felt seen. They miss the version of themselves they used to be. They're not grieving you. They're grieving the identity they lost. They're not mourning the connection. They're mourning the stability their connection gave them. And that's what surveillance does. It ties a person's emotional state to someone else's movement. The irony is that they thought blocking you would give them emotional freedom. Instead, it chained their emotional equilibrium to your activity. They thought they were distancing themselves from you. Instead, they tethered themselves to the digital version of you. They thought the burner would give them insight. Instead, it gave them discomfort. They thought they could watch you without feeling anything. Instead, they feel more now than they ever did when things were normal. Let's dig deeper. There's another truth they're avoiding. They wanted you to notice. Not the burner, but the shift. They wanted you to sense their absence. They wanted your behavior to change when they blocked you. They wanted your posting pattern to slow down, or your tone to shift, or your content to darken. They wanted the block to feel like a blow. They wanted evidence that their departure mattered. But when they saw you didn't pause, didn't shift, didn't waver, something inside them gave way. That's what sends them into the burner. Not longing for you, but longing for the validation they expected to receive through your reaction. The burner becomes a test, not of you, but of themselves. They're checking if they had impact. They're checking if they had value. They're checking if they left a mark. They're checking if you're still connected. But every time they check, the answer becomes more painful. Because you're not posting like someone who's scanning the room. You're not moving like someone waiting for closure. You're not shifting like someone trying to signal loss. You're just living. And nothing destroys a person who expected you to crumble more than watching you stabilize in ways they didn't predict. This brings us to the final transformation, the part that seals this entire storyline. They didn't expect to care about your presence this much. They didn't expect the block to backfire. They didn't expect their curiosity to expose them. And they definitely didn't expect their own behavior to reveal their attachment. But that's exactly what happened. Their secrecy became their confession. Their burner became their slip. Their monitoring became their truth. Their obsession became their exposure. And here's the ending nobody warns them about. Obsession doesn't fade by watching. It deepens. It grows roots. It grows patterns. It grows habits. And once someone forms the habit of watching you from the shadows, breaking that habit becomes its own battle. They're not addicted to you. They're addicted to the emotional stimulation your presence gives them. They're addicted to the feeling they get when you appear. They're addicted to the relief they feel when you post. They're addicted to the tension that rises in their chest when you don't. They're addicted to the cycle of needing updates to regulate their unstable emotional narrative. But you're free, because you never tied your stability to their presence. You never tied your rhythm to their reaction. You never tied your identity to their approval. Your life didn't pause. Your growth didn't stall. Your progress didn't wait. You didn't look back once, and that's what makes this entire story poetic. They blocked you to stop seeing you, but they forgot blocking doesn't stop feeling, and it definitely doesn't stop remembering. It just removes visibility, and your life, your growth, your elevation became something they could only witness from a distance they created themselves. You didn't win by fighting. You didn't win by reacting. You didn't win by exposing them. You won by existing. You won by expanding. You won by becoming someone their burner can't decode anymore. And the final truth, the truth they whisper to themselves when no one's around, is that blocking you didn't give them peace. Watching you did. But watching you also broke them. Because nothing stings more than realizing the person you tried to remove from your world was the one person holding your emotional structure in place. They swore they didn't think about you, but now their entire online behavior revolves around you.